sleigh down in Manhattan Beach, and Phil Jackson walked in. Would not acknowledge my presence, looked right at me.
Yeah, he doesn't like you.
He doesn't like me. Phil doesn't like me.
Didn't he run into Ann or something?
And he liked Ann, but my beautiful wife, but he doesn't like me. So I would say this, though. So this will be one of those things where if Phil was listening, and, everybody's in L.A. kind of, if I say something, he'll hear it. I think Phil's a basketball genius. And I think Bill Belichick's a football genius. And the downside to being Bill Belichick and Phil Jackson is I do think they care about their industry and people. They're good people. I mean, Bill's a little crusty, but they're good people. But they are significantly smarter than 99% of the people in their profession. Not just smarter, but significantly smarter. And they know it, but that's fine. The problem is that's not transferable. That's why Stephen Hawking doesn't have a lot of proteges. Either does Elon Musk. Either did Steve Jobs. You never hear about young engineers. Well, I learned all the tricks from Elon Musk. Genius is not transferable. Look at Phil Jackson's coaching tree. It's a stump. Steve Kerr. And I can't give him too much credit for Kerr because he had Popovich. He doesn't have a coaching tree. Phil's just smarter than people. Belichick's coaching tree sucks. He's just smarter than guys. Proximity to genius. I could sit next to Elon Musk every day for a decade. My IQ would not go up 1 point. He's a genius. I talk sports. You can't transfer that. It's why Andy Reid is smart and Sean McVay, they're smart. Their traits are more transferable. Belichick grew up with a brilliant mother, spoke 7 languages. His dad essentially was at the forefront of scouting. Bill is a mile ahead of everybody. Can't draft, but he's a mile ahead of everybody. And Phil Jackson's parents, similarly, he's very well-read. He's one of the most well-read people in sports. You watch that 30 for 30. I watched that 30 for 30. Phil was the smartest guy there. Smarter than the owner, smarter than the GM, smarter than the players. It's why, by the way, a real smart player, Michael Jordan, listened to Phil when he talked. Phil's like, bro, you want to score 60 or win? I mean, Michael Jordan could have scored 50 a night, but he listened to Phil. And smart people do listen to Bill Belichick and Phil. But it's not transferable. And so if you look at Phil's coaching tree and Bill's coaching tree, they're stumps. You can't transfer what they can do. You can't transfer Steve Jobs. You can't transfer Stephen Hawking. And it's the downside to these incredibly insightful sages is that they're kind of on a little bit of an intellectual island for what they do. I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to Bill and Phil. Buy them a drink, sit down, don't talk, just listen. But good luck getting it transferred because life is about choices, 30, 40, 50 a day. And as a basketball coach, it could be 100. And sometimes it just takes raw intellect. I mean, Phil Jackson was balancing Pat Riley and Jerry West and Jerry Buss, who, according to Winning Time, had quite a social life. And Magic Johnson, and he is balancing, not Magic, he was balancing Kobe, and he's balancing Shaq, and he's balancing the brand, and he's balancing Tex Winter, and and then he goes to Chicago, and it's MJ, and it's Reinsdorf, and it's Jerry Krause, and it's Rodman, and it's Pippen. And he managed them, just juggling all these weird, funny, intense personalities at 2 stops, Midwest, West Coast, and aced both. And by the way, really good coaches, Del Harris before him and Doug Collins before him. Really good coaches. Couldn't quite juggle it. They were winning. I mean, Del was winning. Doug was winning. But to Joy's point, Lakers always go to the rearview mirror whenever they want to change something or alter something or do something. It's always the rearview mirror, not the windshield. But so I'm not criticizing Phil or Bill. But what I'm saying is, I think intellectually they live a little bit on an island. And sometimes, most of the time, that stuff's not transferable. CFOs that get it, get it. The CFOs that don't. The CFO is not some bean counter. No, sirree. They are so vital to growth. So vital to strategy, profitability of a business. But in growing companies, 2 kinds of CFOs. One that still clinging to spreadsheets, lack of visibility into the numbers, and then the CFO that gets it. Automated reports, inventory, e-commerce, HR flow, all into the financial model seamlessly. That CFO uses NetSuite by Oracle. By the way, over 29,000 CFOs get it and use NetSuite by Oracle. Go there now. Special one-of-a-kind financing. netsuite.com/herd, H-E-R-D. You control your financials, your HR, your budgeting, your planning, your inventory seamlessly, all in one place. NetSuite.
The Herdline News.
You know what else has been happening for years?
What?
College athletes getting paid and gambling.
Yeah. Do you know I saw a story one time?
Two things also that are not new.
There was $4 billion bet on the Super Bowl in America before it was legal. I think 3 of it was in Hoboken, but $4 billion annually in America was bet on the Super Bowl. I think that's the number. And it's like, it wasn't legal outside of Vegas. So
yeah, I mean, it's like one thing if this is just this is an absolutely new thing. Gambling on sports, you never heard of that before it became legal? Okay.
Somebody once said to me,
no one's ever gotten a new car for signing with a particular college before. That's impossible.
Somebody once said this to me years ago. Do you feel bad when you make picks and miss? And I said, you ever get on a plane to Vegas? They're all full. People get willingly on planes, fly to Vegas to lose money. They don't build those casinos because they win. I don't mind missing picks. I hit some, I miss some. But
what do you mean?
People,
if you feel bad? What are you, God?
It's your wallet, it's not mine.
Right.
I don't know what the hell you have in your wallet.
The Celtics were without Marcus Smart last night, but they were still able to bounce back with a huge 109-86 Game 2 win against the Bucks. They pretty much controlled this entire game. They got out to a really hot start, led by as much as 26, and by as many as 26 in the third quarter. Jaylen Brown did have an off night shooting. He had a game high 30 points, 25 coming in the first half. He shook it off, but the defense also stepped up in Smart's absence, which was a big deal because that was a significant loss to not have Marcus Smart out there. But they limited Giannis to 28 points with 9 rebounds and 7 assists and 6 turnovers after his Game 1 triple-double. So now the series is tied 1-1 and heads to Milwaukee for Game 3 on Saturday. Jaylen Brown had 30 points. Jason Tatum had 29.
The game was over 4 minutes in.
Yeah, it was Boston's night, start to finish.
The downside to a 7-game series, which you and I have also complained about, is that you get games like this. Milwaukee won the opener, and their takeaway is we got home court advantage. Like they didn't bring the intensity. In college basketball and March Madness, where the quality isn't very good from the officiating to the coaching to the players, but you see the passion. Like, this was like 5 minutes in, you're like, all right, Milwaukee took the night off.
Yeah, I mean, but this was a must-win game.
Oh, it was the season for Boston.
Yeah,
the
for
season.
Boston. So they're going to bring everything they had, and they did. It was a very, very impressive game. The Bucks are favored by 3 in Game 3, according to Fox Bet. But I do love that Boston came out and played this way because now you don't feel like it's going to be a short series. You do feel like you're going to get some action in Game 3, and because the way that Game 1 went, it was like, well,
yeah,
the Bucks look like they're going to win this easily. I don't feel that way now. This could end up being a long series, and Marcus Smart obviously will hopefully get back, and we're still waiting to find out about Middleton. So, in more injury news, Joel Embiid is still recovering from the orbital fracture and concussion that he suffered in last week against the Raptors, up 30. He'll be out again tonight. Game 2 with the Sixers against the Heat. Doc Rivers did have an encouraging update about his return. He said Embiid did some work earlier this week and is doing a lot better, but he stopped there to avoid giving any false hope. So internally, the team is reportedly still holding out that he'll return this series, holding out hope. And it could be as early as Game 3. So that report is still obviously in play that he would be back for Games 3 or 4. But the Heat really ran Game 1, and it did not look like they had anything outside of Joel Embiid being out there. Like James Harden adding 16 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 turnovers is not going to get it done against the number 1 team in the East.
I still give Philadelphia a shot, though. I do.
Oh, I mean, of course he still has a shot.
Like
and if Joel Embiid comes back.
Oh, I like their players a lot.
I do too. But are they a complete team, and do they have the scoring power that they need without Joel Embiid? Is James Harden going to be aggressive? Does he even have the capability of doing that?
All fair. I feel like Miami's ceiling is lower, but I kind of know what I get every night. Good bench, good defense.
You know what you get every night.
Every night.
They're very well coached.
Oh, Spoelstra, I think, is the best coach in the league.
Very consistent, and they have shooters.
Yeah.
So that's like Tyler Hero just won 6th Man of the Year. Congratulations, by the way. If he comes off and has a night like he did in game 1, and you don't have Joel Embiid out there,
I know, yeah.
someone else has to step up. So game 2 is tonight at 7:30 Eastern. The Heat are favored by 8, according to Fox Bet. And Mavs Suns game 2 is tonight at 10 Eastern. Suns are favored by 6, according to Fox Bet. So the Lakers, they are not in the postseason, but they are looking for their next head coach. And in true Lakers fashion, why would we go outside of the family to help find a new coach? So Phil Jackson is reportedly significantly involved in the organization's search committee. He was also consulted before the team hired Frank Vogel in 2019. Now, surfacely, you would say, oh, well, it's Phil Jackson. I mean, what a better voice to get, advice on hiring a coach than Phil Jackson? Except for Phil Jackson is not really involved with the NBA at this point. How much is he going to give a step back